This is Protiviti Legal Perspectives.
Welcome to the Protiviti Legal Podcast series. I'm Chad Volkert and the host of our program. I'm also a global solution executive here at Protiviti. I'm pleased to welcome Tom Frohne, Senior Vice President of Protiviti Legal Consulting, to the show today. Tom, welcome, and maybe you could share a little bit of your deep expertise and background with our listeners before we jump into some questions.
Yeah, thanks, Chad. I think very briefly, I've been in the legal industry now for about 25 years, split fairly evenly now between the consulting side with Protiviti, and then previously almost 13 years helping manage large law firm litigation and general matter management, vendor technology. Really ran the whole gamut there from the law firm world.
That's great, Tom. Well, I know your deep expertise in and around litigation, how to manage those engagements, how to work both with law firm partners, associates, and support staff, as well as in-house counsel and third-party providers will be a great benefit to our audience today. Maybe just starting, Tom, can you talk a bit about the challenges law firms face in working on large-scale, complex litigation matters for their corporate clients, and really what keeps the partners up at night to make sure that they're hitting the deadlines and providing a five-star experience for their clients?
Yeah, I think you kind of hit on some of that there. When you're talking at the senior partner level, they're really looking at the business of the law firm itself, and so really having to navigate are our current clients happy with the level of service and experience that they're getting? Are our employees and support staff and, from a partner perspective, the associates doing meaningful work? Do they feel valued? Are we going to be able to create an environment that they stick around long term? And then really just like any other business, what are we doing to differentiate ourselves, showcase our expertise in order to generate new clients and keep the business growing year over year. From a large law firm perspective, I think one of the biggest things these days is having to navigate large cases and multiple matters with more constrained budgets. I think their corporate clients are really digging more into how can we manage these cases with fewer dollars, with tighter budgets. And I think that's really where Protiviti has been able to come in and shine in partnering with our law firm partners.
Well, that's great. And maybe you could expand a little bit more on that aspect, Tom. I mean, when you think about this massively growing collaboration between law firms, in-house counsel, and legal consulting firms like Protiviti, and ones that provide alternative legal services and expertise in and around e-discovery, project management, oversight, etc., really working hand in hand with partners at law firms and corporate in-house counsel. Can you share a little bit more about what's working in that type of a three-pronged approach with clients?
Yeah, and I think what we're seeing more and more of is the majority of general counsel or deputy general counsel that are leading litigation in a corporate setting have come typically from a large law firm environment. So they're well versed in how a firm navigates large cases, even small cases. I think there's application there of, when looking at budget dollars allocated to a case, I think the ALSP providers are able to help either reduce budgets in order to get to a beneficial outcome in a matter, or at a minimum, shift some of those dollars into, let's say, higher level, greater ROI types of tasks across the litigation lifecycle. And so, an example of that would be early stage discovery, leveraging the appropriate resources, subject matter experts, and technology to reduce the number of documents at issue during discovery. The managed review services that we provide allow a shift in dollars away from first and second year associate rates, allowing those dollars to either just be removed from the budget or shifted to higher level motion practice, additional depositions, expert witnesses, etc. The other thing that we're seeing more and more of is us sitting at the table with a law firm partner, with a litigation support manager, and from the corporate side, a CLO or GC, to leverage the expertise of a law firm, leverage the expertise of the corporation, and we can interject where appropriate, where there may be some cost saving or efficiency opportunities across the life cycle as well. So it's really become, I think, much more of a collaborative partnership over the years, and each one of those entities certainly plays a valuable role.
That's great insight, Tom. And I know you just are wrapping up a highly successful engagement, both for the corporate client and 8 law firms that were involved, where it started just from a couple of our forensic and collections specialists going out and getting data off of some laptops and cell phones, but then turned into us layering in some of our data scientists, experts in around e-discovery to process and host terabytes on terabytes of data and video, bringing in consultants working hand in hand with the law firms, along with bringing in document reviewers to really streamline that process. So if we're talking to a GC today or to a law firm partner, what would you share with them, maybe very succinctly, about what point should they be calling Tom or looking at additional expertise to be able to handle a sophisticated matter?
Yeah, I think if I look at our long-standing corporate and law firm partners, we're getting called shortly after they receive a complaint. In some instances, we're maybe involved even in the investigatory stage before it even gets to that point, because they need to come to grips and figure out what the volumes are of data, documents, and potentially employees that are at issue. And we can really, I think, from an early stage, help whittle down and just reduce those volumes for all of those individuals. The other thing that works, I think, to everybody's benefit is getting our project management, our subject matter experts engaged early on so that they can help quarterback everything that runs throughout the remainder of the discovery process. In that case that you referenced, that's a great example, because when you're dealing with a large-scale commercial litigation or a government investigation, you never know where those cases are going to turn, where the discovery requests are going to go, how many third parties become involved. And so the more knowledgeable we are from the get-go, I think that just adds value for our team as a partner and alleviates a lot of those logistical items and takes it off the plate of our law firm partners, so that they can focus on the higher level tasks of litigation and discovery that they're being paid for.
Well, and maybe just dive a little bit deeper, because I think what you just touched on is really important for our listeners. Number one, our early involvement on matters can help reduce costs by 30 to upwards of 70%. And number two, make no mistake, we are not a law firm. We are not practicing law. We are working in concert and partnership with law firms for their expert legal advice to their in-house counsel clients. But there obviously are law firms that you're talking to every day that have not used third-party experts in this fashion. What would you say to them, Tom, beyond maybe some of the value adds you've already talked about why they should be partnering and creating sort of a third leg of the stool in and around litigation?
Yeah. I mean, I view our services really as puzzle pieces, and they change in every matter. And so and the availability of law firm resources can change on a week-to-week basis based upon their caseloads. And so there are times where we're leveraged strictly for collection activities. There are times where we're leveraged strictly to provide additional attorney resources for document review. There's times where we're called upon for expert testimony or technology solutions that a firm doesn't have. We really have no interest in going in and effectively taking business away from a firm. We're there to provide a safety net to them when they need us, when either volumes are too high or deadlines are too tight and their teams aren't available, to navigate that. I think what also we haven't really talked about are the, let's say, more boutique firms or partners that may leave a large law firm environment and start their own firms. They become accustomed to having that support engine behind them to navigate large cases and discovery. And that's another area where we slot in very nicely because they don't have that overhead. They don't have anybody sitting idle when those cases aren't running at full capacity. And we get that call when they get to that phase to still be able to manage large cases like they would have in other areas or with another large firm. But now they're doing it as a firm of 4 or 5, 10 attorneys, giving them the ability to compete and go up against any firm in the country.
That's great, Tom. Well, I don't think there's any mistake as you think about the growth of this industry. Just 10 years ago, if you and I were doing this podcast, we'd be talking about a alternative legal service sort of community and spend within North America of less than 10 billion. And by the end of this year, it's anticipated to be north of 25 billion. So I know from your standpoint, Tom, the more partners and in-house counsel work strategically with deep experts in and around litigation from a third-party standpoint, the more successful those matters are. And I think that's just going to continue to grow. So we're almost out of time, Tom. I guess I would give the mic to you one more time. Is there one or two other, sort of nuggets that you'd like to leave with our listeners today that you think they would find as very valuable?
Yeah, I think what I hear quite often in conversations these days is now around the application of AI, of the enhanced use of machine learning, technology solutions. I think there's still quite a bit of apprehension of leveraging some of those tools or integrating them in. And I know that that's an area, and again, I've been doing this for over 20 years. I think the building blocks, and for those of us that have been around for a while, continue to move us in the right direction, whether that was getting away from all documents needing to be image to PDF to the native viewers and moving away from physically bait stamping records. I would say in the last 2 years especially, it has been the most exponential growth in available technologies, especially within the litigation sector, for firms to significantly shrink volumes to get to the heart of their case. And we've been able to do that, I think on a daily basis for our clients when they're probably at their most, they're wondering the most of what is this case about? What are the central themes? How do we win this matter? And that has huge applications for our corporate clients as well. And I think leveraging of those tools supplemented with our subject matter expertise has proven invaluable for most of our clients.
Well, I couldn't agree more, Tom. You think about our view is a global view of artificial intelligence, not just a litigation view. And so we have over 10,000 consultants in over 25 countries around the globe, and all of them are being immersed with tools in and around artificial intelligence, how to embrace that. And so we've brought that same concept, to your point, Tom, into the legal sphere, where we've always had it, right, in the area of e-discovery and artificial intelligence and large language model, and all of those have been around for many years. But we've been overlaying some of the best practices from an enterprise standpoint, doing more with some tools that companies already have, like Microsoft, et cetera. And I think that's a really good point to continue to embrace that, both from a law firm as well as a corporate culture, with AI subject matter expertise on top. Well, it's been fantastic having you, Tom. I wish we had more time. We'll bring you back again.
Thank you for listening today. Find other episodes of Protiviti Legal Perspectives on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast content. And to learn more about Protiviti's legal consulting services, visit protiviti.com.